Good morning, good morning, good morning, Trinity, United Church of Christ, Gary. I am so excited to gather with you today as we celebrate another authentic, encouraging, and inviting Bible study. Oh, we are going to have some fun on today. You know, we have fun. We have a blast every Tuesday at 12 noon when we can gather together and meet and talk about a prolific, thought-provoking Bible study. And so this day is no different. We are so excited that you are joining us on today. As many of you all know, we have been highlighting an awesome, wonderful book. That's right. We've been having this great book discussion on a particular book that we want to invite you to check out if you haven't already. The name of this book is called When Mama Speaks, The Bible and Motherhood from a Womanist Perspective by Dr. Stephanie Buchanan Crowder. If you haven't had an opportunity to pick up this book, we want to encourage you. This is a jewel. You don't want to go throughout our Bible study time together without grabbing this jewel. All of our lessons during this time period have been based on this book. And so the particular chapter that we want to highlight today is a story that is no stranger to us. I want to ask family, please, if you don't have your Bible or pen and paper handy, please grab a Bible and pen and paper. The particular story that we want to highlight today comes from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 15, verses 21 to 28. And I'm going to be highlighting this text from the New Revised Standard Version. This story is no stranger to us. We have heard this story time and time again. Today, we are going to examine this story through a womanist lens. Matthew chapter 15, verses 21 to 28. The Canaanite woman's faith. Jesus left that place and went away to the district of Tyre and Sidon. Just then, a Canaanite woman from that region came out and started shouting, "Have mercy on me, Lord, Son of David. My daughter is tormented by a demon." But he did not answer her at all. And his disciples came and urged him, saying, "Send her away, for she keeps shouting after us." And he answered, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." But she came and knelt before him, saying, "Lord, help me." And he answered, "It's not fair to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs." And she said, "Yes, Lord. Yet even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table." Then Jesus answered her, "Woman, great is your faith. Let it be done for you as you wish." And her daughter was healed instantly. We've heard this story time and time again as a part of our Christian faith. This story is no secret to us. This is a very interesting story, is it not? Well, there's a couple of points that we want to highlight in this text. First and foremost, we generally say this story teaches us about Jesus' humanity. That's right. Interestingly enough, we're used to always seeing Jesus from a divine perspective, seeing Jesus as the Son of God, the revealed image of God, as John chapter 1, verse 1 tells us. But in this text, we see the humanity of Jesus. Oftentimes, biblical scholars say there are two primary scripture passages in the Bible where we see Jesus' humanity. One is on the cross when Jesus is taking his final moments and about to unfortunately die. We will think about this on this Friday, in particular in the life of our Christian community as we celebrate the 7 last words of Christ. The second biblical passage that we highlight that draws attention to Jesus' humanity is this particular text in Matthew chapter 15, verses 21 to 28. We say we see Jesus' humanity because we see Jesus being disrespectful to a woman. That's right. That's right. That's right. In some sense, Dr. Stephanie Buchanan Crowder, author of this book that we are reading, When Mama Speaks, first points to this notion that Jesus is human. It would be difficult if we want to see Jesus strictly through the lens of being divine, strictly through the lens of being the Son of God. She says it's important to understand Jesus' sense of humanity. That's for two reasons primarily. One, she says it's important to understand Jesus' humanity so that we can experience Jesus, the Son of God, who knows how to come alongside us, who sits high but looks low, who can provide us with empathy in our current human life situations, because he himself has experienced what it has felt like to be human. Dr. Crowder says we don't want to engage in a theology that says we serve a divine presence who doesn't know what we've been through, who hasn't experienced pain, suffering, sadness, loss, even depression like we have. And that's good news for somebody today, because there is somebody today who is wondering, does God know, hear, experience what you're going through? And we say yes, because Jesus died on a cross. Because in this Matthew chapter 15 text, this gives us reassurance that this is a God that we can be faithful and loving towards, because he knows exactly what we have experienced. When you feel as though God doesn't understand your plight, has not listened to you, has taken a blind eye to you, please be reminded that just as God is human, just as Jesus experienced humanness through Jesus' birth, the revealed image of God himself, God is there to provide you with empathy and empowerment and encouragement during all of your life crisis. The second reason why it's important to highlight Jesus' humanity and talk about this context of Matthew 15 is because we want people who ascribe to be like Jesus to also recognize their sense of humanity. I know, let me say that. Let me say that again for the people in our digital balcony. In our Christian community, we highlight, we are called to be Christ-like, meaning we are called to model Jesus. When people see us, they should see Jesus. And so we also highlight Jesus' humanity because we want to also acknowledge our own humanity. All of us who strive to be Christ-like, preachers, pastors, teachers, laypersons, deacons, all of us, choir members, usher board members, all of us, board of trustee members, council members, all of us, those who work in our various ministries around the church, all of us, even in the midst of being human and divine, we have experienced a Jesus moment, like what Jesus is grappling with in this Matthew 15 text. You may ask me, well, what is Jesus grappling with? I didn't experience Jesus as having any problems in this text. Womanist Theology says, yes, this is a text that is problematic for Jesus. This text shows Jesus as one who has issues. But again, the good news for us is if Jesus himself had issues in this Matthew 15 text, who are we? In the midst of us being Christ-like, divine beings, let us all acknowledge our own sense of humanness, our own sense of times when we have missed the mark, when we haven't gotten it right. We are not perfect. Dr. Crowder says this is the second piece that is important for us and why we want to acknowledge Jesus' humanity. Because in some sense, by acknowledging Jesus' humanity, we then have to acknowledge our own humanity. Here's another reflective question. Where have you been, Jesus, in this text? I know I have to take a pause there for a moment. If it is in fact the case that we are Christ-like beings, we also have to understand, just like Jesus Christ himself, we have hurt people with our words. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. How do you repent? Apologize to some people for ways in which you gave a flippant, smart mouth response like Jesus gave to this woman. This woman here has a daughter that is sick, a child that is demon possessed. And so this woman simply asked Jesus for healing for her daughter. And Jesus gives a smart mouth response. I am not here for you. You are not a part of my people. You are a part of a different people. In some sense, if you were to dive into this text, you would learn that this woman was from Canaan. This was a Canaanite woman. And Canaanite folks were not well loved by the Jews. Jesus is a Jew. In some sense, Canaanite folks were somewhat enemies to our Jewish brothers and sisters. Also, this Canaanite sister is believed that she represents other Canaanite sisters who've had a terrible reputation, if you will. For example, it is believed that Rahab was a Canaanite. And you know, in our Christian culture, we look down on Rahab. We call her a prostitute, if you will. Patriarchy and white supremacy Christianity tends to only define Rahab through sexuality and sexuality politics, sexuality shame, sexuality guilt. It's also believed that Tamar was a Canaanite and had a history, a cultural background from the Canaanite cultural tradition. And so our sister, this Canaanite sister, doesn't have a history of being related to people who have a quote unquote positive image in our Christian faith. And so Jesus makes a flippant, smart mouth response to her. I'm not here for you. Jesus even ventures off to call this woman a dog. How sad for Jesus to call this woman out of her name. There should be empathy that we extend to this woman in some sense, because she is disrespected even by our Lord and Savior. When are the times in life when you have been Jesus? People have looked at you as God-fearing, church-going, faithful persons, and you have made a flippant, smart mouth comment to someone. Another point that Dr. Crowder highlights in this text is, technically, this woman is not of the same cultural background as Jesus. She is not a Jew. She is a Canaanite. And Jesus responds, I'm only here for my people. We could understand this perspective from Jesus. Apparently, if you were to do historical research on the Canaanite folks, the Canaanite brothers and sisters used to oppress the Jewish brothers and sisters. So in this text, Jesus sees himself as victim in relationship to this Canaanite sister. How dare she now ask him for something when he is a victim in his mind? Have you ever felt like Jesus? Have you ever felt like, wow, I'm in a setting where I'm the victim, I'm the oppressed one, and someone has the audacity to ask me to do something for them? Yes. This text reminds us that we're not called just to minister to people from our own cultural background. Who are you called to minister to that has a different cultural background from you? I'm going to tell you something. I am convicted by this text myself. For many, many, many years, I have struggled with European American brothers and sisters, especially in light of racism and police brutality today. And I've also wrestled with African enslavement in this country from 1619 to 1865. But this text, when I'm feeling just like Jesus, that I'm only here to serve African and African American brothers and sisters, I'm also convicted, educated, challenged, confronted in this text to reflect on, when will there be times when I'll be called to minister to folks that don't look like me, folks that don't have my same hue? Just like Jesus was called to minister to this Canaanite woman who was of a different cultural background. Who are you called to minister to? Someone who doesn't look like you, someone who doesn't carry your same cultural background, someone who maybe even oppressed you or your people, someone who maybe even spoke down to you, spoke down to your loved one, spoke down to your child, did wrong by your mother or father, did wrong by somebody in your family. What if God is calling you to minister to them? What if in some sense, true, authentic, genuine ministry is how well you minister to people who are different from you? People who don't share your same political ideologies, your same cultural backgrounds, your same racial or ethnic perspectives. Maybe it's someone who doesn't share your same social economic status. This issue of classism is also evident in this text, as this Canaanite woman is of a lower class system, if you will. What if you're called to minister to those who are disabled or differently abled? Interestingly, in this text, we see another interesting detail that is thought-provoking for us, if you will. Jesus left that place and went away to the district of Tyre and Sidon. And just then a Canaanite woman from that region came out and started shouting, "Have mercy on me, Lord, Son of David." Let's pause. In verse 22, this Canaanite woman says, "Have mercy on me, Lord, Son of David." Isn't that interesting that a sister who is not of the same cultural background as Jesus knows who Jesus is? An interesting detail in this text that we would have to spend some time highlighting on is, what are the ways in which sometimes we promote an inaccurate myth that says only we know who our Jesus is? If it is in fact the case that we're called to minister to people who are not of our same background, whatever that background may be, how do we also celebrate persons from different backgrounds who recognize the one who we serve, our Jesus, our God? This is interesting in that we may look down on this woman as a Canaanite woman because she had a different background, but at the same time, we have to celebrate her, affirm her, empower her, put her on a pedestal for the ways in which she recognized who Jesus was. She recognized more than anything the power of Jesus. Isn't it sad how persons outside of our cultural background, outside of our religious background, recognize the power of our Savior more than us? Isn't that interesting? Things that make you say, while we are questioning God, wondering if God can do it, wrestling with faith about what God is capable of doing or not capable of doing, there is someone who may be of a different tradition, a different cultural background, a different religious entity, who has more faith in our God than we do. Shame on us, beloved. Shame on us for the wonderful ways in which others know more about our God more than us. And so this text also invites us to reckon with our own faith, our own sense of spirituality. What are you trusting God for? What are you believing Jesus to do in your life? Hold your faith. Stay on the wall. Don't give up, because someplace, somewhere, there's someone who does not even value Jesus the way we do, but yet and still believes in the power of Jesus. This woman, who is not of the same cultural background, believed enough in the power of what Jesus could do for her sick daughter. Whereas we're still wondering, can Jesus work it out? Can Jesus fix it like only Jesus can? Can Jesus really heal? Dr. Crowder points to another interesting detail in this text that we can't miss. Jesus left that place and went away from the district of Tyre and Sidon. And just then a Canaanite woman from that region came out and started shouting, "Have mercy on me, Lord, Son of David. My daughter is tormented by a demon." But he did not answer her at all. Who in our community are we not listening to or responding to? Verse 23 says, Jesus did not answer this woman at all. Interestingly enough, he goes quiet, he goes silent on Jesus, on this woman. This should push us to reflect on who in our community are we not listening to? Who in our community is silent? Or who in our community are we being silent towards when they reach out to us and say, "Have mercy on us, help me, have mercy on me"? Do we take a blind eye? Do we take a deaf ear, as Jesus did in verse 23? How do we resist that? How do we refrain from doing that? And his disciples came and urged him, saying, "Send her away, for she keeps shouting after us." It's ironic that the disciples, those who are supposed to be Christ-like, say to Jesus, "Send her away, for she keeps shouting at us." What is the hypocrisy of the disciples to respond in this way? Why would the disciples say such mean things? Send her away, for she keeps shouting at us. In psychology and human development, we say the worst part about oppression is when we have to see it. So oftentimes there are particular ways in which we say, remove from our sight, oppressed victim. I don't want to see you. In psychology and human development, we say, it's easy to not address oppression if we don't have to see it. Hence why we don't want to look at oppression, because if we see it, then we will have to address it. This is why, in some sense, many business owners say, homeless gentleman, homeless woman, don't panhandle in front of my business. Don't lie in front of my business with all of your material possessions. It's bad for business when you do this. Because in some sense, vendors and patrons to that business will have to then look at homelessness and then be compelled, be guilted, be shamed to do something about it. Think about our current legislation around homelessness. Did you know, you can research this, did you know there are more laws around not panhandling in front of businesses than there are actually addressing homelessness in populations today? This is based on this psychological theory that we don't want to actually take care of oppression. We just don't want to see it. There is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Netflix movie that I invite you to check out on Netflix during this time that highlights this dynamic. It's a wonderful, wonderful Netflix movie on homelessness that I invite you to check out. Go to Netflix. It is trending right now, and it's all about homelessness, 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 homelessness. Please, please, please check out that film. I'll share the title with you a little later. Please, please, please check out that film. Stay tuned when I share the title with you later. I want to invite you to think about, in some sense, this is what the disciples wrestle with in our text. Jesus, send her away. We don't want to see her. The reflective question for us is, who have you taken a blind eye to? Who is it that you are refusing to see? Who is it that you want to just disappear and send away out of your life so that you don't have to acknowledge their pain, their plight, their crisis, so that you don't have to do anything to help them? Maybe that person that you see is the person God is calling you to help. In this Matthew 15 text, another detail that Dr. Crowder highlights is this disrespectful comment, this human comment that our divine Jesus says. When this woman says, I need you to heal my daughter. And Jesus grows silent, and the disciples say, send her away. We don't want to see her. She keeps shouting at us. Jesus says, I was sent only to be the lost sheep of the house of Israel. I was sent only to be with the lost sheep of the house of Israel. She came and knelt before him, saying, Lord, help me. Isn't this interesting? This is an interesting detail. This woman kneels down in front of Jesus. This woman kneels down in front of Jesus. Isn't that interesting? Why would this woman kneel down in front of Jesus? Especially after Jesus has just said something so disrespectful, so heart-wrenching. How could this woman gather up enough courage to kneel down in front of Jesus and ask the question, Lord, help me? Ironically, in some sense, this is why we celebrate this woman's faith, because of her courage. First and foremost, after Jesus insults her, she kneels down and asks Jesus again, Lord, help me. And then Jesus makes another second disrespectful and even more painful comment. It's not fair to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs. It's not fair to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs. With great mastery, courage, and even quickness, this woman quickly responds, yes, Lord. Yet even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from the master's table. We say in some sense, this sister is working hard. This is not a sister that is simply a passerby. This sister is challenging Jesus. We celebrate in this text, this sister, because we say in our Christian Bible, this is the only biblical character who challenges Jesus, who confronts Jesus, who pushes Jesus to provide healing. What is your relationship like with the Lord? Do you have a relationship with God where you can push God, where you can challenge God, where you can call God out? Or do you have a superficial surface relationship with God? Womanist Theology highlights in this text, it is okay to challenge God. Sometimes we promote a myth that says we're not supposed to challenge God. We're not supposed to petition the Lord. We're supposed to simply accept whatever happens to us in life, whatever God wills or ordains in our life. But this text says no. This text reminds us no. If there is something that you are expecting God to do for you in your life, even if God says, nope, I'm not going to do it, can you come back and challenge God and say, God, I need you to do it? Have you ever thought about that? What are the ways in which God said, no, I'm not going to open this door for you in life. No, I'm not going to give this answer of yes to you around this thing that you've been praying about, around this decision that you have been wrestling with, that you want me to say yes to. I'm not going to say yes and give you an answer in the affirmative around this issue that has caused you to toss and turn at night. Can you, with a sense of bravery, courage, boldness, say, God, I need you to do it for me anyhow. I'm not going to take no for an answer. God, I'm believing you to show up like only you can. Have you ever challenged God? Have you ever told God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, no, you need to come through for me on this particular issue. I'm not taking no for an answer. I need you to open up a door. I so appreciate this sister's faith to ask again. She actually asks twice. No, I'm wrong. She actually asked 3 times in this text. If you look at this scripture, she asked Jesus 3 times, fix it, Lord, like only you can. First, in verse 22, she says, have mercy on me, Lord. My daughter is tormented by a demon, fix it. He says no. He says he remains silent. He don't say nothing. The disciples push her away. He tells her, no, I'm not here for you. You're not a part of my cultural tradition. She says it again in verse 25. She asks a second time, Lord, help me. He says a smart mouth response. It's not fair for me to take children's food and throw it to the dogs. Verse 27, she asks again for the 3rd time. Lord, help me. Even the dogs get to take the crumbs that fall from the table. How many times have you asked God for something? Just once? Just twice? Maybe you've even done what this woman did and asked Jesus 3 times and God still said no. Do you have enough courage and bravery to ask a 4th time, a 5th time, a 6th time, a 7th time, or 8th time? Let me go psychological for a second, family. Do you mind if I go psychological for a second? I appreciate what this woman did in this text because in some sense, she refused to internalize a hurtful comment made to her by even God, God's self. Let's go psychological for a second. And this is where I'd like to land the plane for us with our Bible study today. Words hurt. Even words coming from God. In this image you see on your screen, we say, words can kill. A popular mantra that we often have lived by in our culture is we've said, words don't hurt. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can never hurt me. And now we're discovering in psychology and human development, that's not true. Words can provide emotional abuse. In some sense, we say words can feel like a gun and kill you emotionally and psychologically and mentally. Words can provide just as much, if not more, pain than physical pain. In fact, there are some people today who say it is more harmful to hear a hurtful word rather than to feel a physical act of violence. And so first and foremost, we celebrate this woman for her tenacity and not internalizing a hurtful comment. Let's go psychological in this, family. There are some strategies we want to highlight on how to respond when people say hurtful things. How to respond when people say hurtful things. I want to encourage you to use these strategies. When someone says something hurtful, in some sense, we see this is what this woman does in response to Jesus. Try these strategies and interventions. Number one, set healthy interpersonal and relationship boundaries with others when people make hurtful comments. Number two, try to shift the perspective to see where someone else is coming from when someone makes a hurtful comment to you. Oftentimes we say hurt people hurt people. So how do I remember what they're saying to me is not really indicative of me, it's really indicative of their own hurt and pain in their life that they're really speaking from. Try to shift the perspective, recognizing that what they're saying to you really speaks to their issues. Number three, use humor to diffuse the situation when possible. Sometimes laughter can be the best medicine to provide care for us when someone says something hurtful. Number four, we say it's important to ignore what others say. Or ignoring someone when they make a disrespectful, mean, and sensitive comment is a healthy response. In some sense, that's what this sister does in our text today. She ignores Jesus. And last but not least, as you see this particular educational image on your screen, correct what other persons have said and stand up for yourself. Make your needs known. This is what this woman does in this text. She stands up for herself and basically says, Jesus, what you said was hurtful, but guess what? I still have a need that I need for you to step up with and help me with. I still have a need that I need you to come through with to provide and fulfill for me. Please, family, share this video. Share these wonderful strategies that you see on your screen today. Let somebody know that they don't have to internalize hurtful words like this sister refused to internalize the hurtful words of Jesus. There's somebody today who's internalizing something that their mom said to them when they were a kid. There's somebody here that's internalizing something that their father said to them when they were a kid. How do you let it go? There's someone here that's internalizing something that a teacher said to them when they were a kid. There's somebody here that's internalizing something that even a religious leader said to them when they were a kid. How do you practice these strategies and interventions that you see on your screen? Don't internalize hurtful words. I know they hurt. Hurtful words are painful. But if we don't learn anything else from this Matthew 15 text, let us learn not to internalize hurtful words. Thank you, family. I so appreciate you joining us on today. If I could leave you with one more jewel, there's an awesome book that I want to invite you to check out. Please, please, please grab this book. Add this book to your library. It's by Dama Bryant. Tamar Bryant is an African-American psychologist and just became a trendsetter in the field of psychology as the newly elected, appointed president of the APA, the American Psychological Association. That's right, y'all. It's a Black woman who is president now of the American Psychological Association, Tamar Bryant. You know her as the daughter of the AME Bishop John Bryant. You know her as the sister of Jamal Bryant, pastor of New Birth in Georgia. Tamar Bryant is a psychologist, well-known psychologist, and now president of the APA, American Psychological Association. And she's been talking about, yeah, even though my father is a big time preacher, even though my brother is a big time preacher, she really merges together theology with psychology. And she just published this brand new book. You see the cover on your screen, Homecoming. Overcome fear and trauma to reclaim your whole and authentic self. If you haven't grabbed this book, family, grab this book. Pastor Jackson and I are thinking about letting this book be our next Bible study book discussion. But grab this book. Hey, the name of that movie on Netflix that I want you to check out, highlighting homelessness and poverty, is called Lead Me Home. Check that out on Netflix, family. Lead Me Home. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. As you continue to reflect on our lessons during this Holy Week, let us center ourselves, family, and continue as we move into Good Friday. Let us remember Jesus' humanness. And let us remember our own sense of humanness. Let us make sure we're not being like Jesus to folks who are reaching out to us for help. Let us not turn a blind eye or a deaf ear. Let us not make insulting comments to folks who are reaching out to us for help. And if we have been this Canaanite woman, where someone, even a religious figure, has said something hurtful to us, let us not internalize. Let us not internalize those words. Even those words hurt, let us not die from those words. Go in peace, beloved, until we meet again. God bless you. God bless you. And God bless you. Blessings to you.